the Quinn Marr Show.
This show is brought to you by Bing Pot Trivia. How many times have you been to a trivia night where it just felt like somebody reading questions? Well, Bing Pot Trivia prides themselves on bringing high-energy, dynamic hosts to every event. The show leans heavily on visual elements. Their questions are designed to make you laugh or roll your eyes, while also challenging your knowledge on pop culture, high school science, culinary arts, and everything in between. Their typical show runs 5 rounds, including a photo round, general knowledge on pop culture, riffs on different game shows, absurd 50-50 questions, and a super sweet music round. Check out bingpottrivia.com today to book your trivia night. Again, that is bingpottrivia.com. Tell my boy Danny that your friend Quinn sent you. All right, let's get on with the show. My next guest first appeared on my radar as Firefly number 3 alongside Vin Diesel in the Pacifier, but quickly she ended up being part of 2 of my favorite TV shows growing up, playing the environment lover Lizzie MacDonald in Life with Derek, and of course, one of, if not the first, female-to-male transgender teen on Canadian TV, Adam Torres on Degrassi Next Generation. Nowadays, you can find her streaming her favorite video games, posting on her YouTube channel, and so much more. It is my pleasure to welcome to the Quinn Marr Show, Jordy Todosey. Jordy, what's going on?
Hey, thank you so much for that intro. That's awesome.
No problem.
And I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I had to bring up the Pacifier thing just because that it's crazy because I remember seeing it, like I would have watched it before Life with Derek, obviously, and then after Life with Derek, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Lizzie from Life with Derek as one of the Fireflies.
Yep. That was the first thing that I really booked, which is crazy. So
That's insane. And that I want to kind of get into that. So as a Canadian kid, Ontario kid growing up, how did you get into like acting? Like what were your parents doing? Like were they in the industry?
So no, they're both very creative people. My dad, is very musically inclined. My mom is a writer, so also just naturally a very creative person. And I think that's why when I went to my mom at the young age of like I think it was 8 years old or 7 years old, I said I really want to start acting. And both of them were like, oh, like, I don't know. And they kind of thought that it would just be a phase. So, they got me an agent. I started auditioning. I'm pretty sure that they thought it would just be like, oh, she'll get tired of it after a little bit. And then, she won't really book anything. And well, then I ended up booking stuff. So
Yeah,
but
seriously.
yeah, very, very blessed that my mom was able to, she was a stay-at-home mom. So was able to actually drive me to and from auditions and, really support that creative endeavor.
Now, growing up, like in the area you did, I don't think probably wasn't really a well-known thing to act. So, like with your friends, I know you're so young, but like with your friends, like did they find it weird? Because like other kids would be going, like you might have too, but other kids might have been going to soccer practice or going to play the trumpet, like, and then you would go to auditions. Like, what was that aspect like?
Honestly, like I know at that age, kids are wild and you have a whole different mentality. There's really no logic. It's just kind of you go, at least that's the way I was as a kid. So I really didn't think much of it other than it was just something I wanted to do. Similar to, yeah, like if, another kid was going to soccer practice. And to be honest, I didn't really like, I'd say it wasn't until I started booking things, and friends started seeing me actually on their TV, that then it was kind of like, oh wait, what the heck?
Yeah.
But the auditioning
I just saw her in math class. Now she's on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the auditioning process is honestly like, fairly boring. And so I feel like maybe it's just my friend group, but it was never that interesting to friends. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, at the same time, because like for you, was it a few auditions until you got something, or was it like one of the first ones, boom, you got a commercial? Like, what was your like little trail like to get into it?
yeah, it was, I want to say it was probably like within the first, 6 months. It was under a year. I'm pretty sure that because when I asked my parents about like wanting to start auditioning and wanting to start acting, I asked them and they didn't actually like get me an agent until, a year or two later. Like I said, I was maybe 7 or 8. And then I'm pretty sure I had just turned like 9 years old. And once again, this is kid memory. So, but I know that I was 9 years old when I booked the Pacifier. So it was very close to, within the first year, which is, I think, why I, kept doing it. I feel like if I had done it for a lot longer, just auditioning and getting nothing, I don't know if I would have kept going. I know that's, like I was saying, what my parents probably thought, but yeah, it was pretty quick. And I ended up booking the Pacifier, but then I actually booked a Tropicana Twister commercial.
Oh, that's it.
And I booked, so the way that, like, obviously when you book something, it's not like, okay, tomorrow you're filming. And so when I booked the Pacifier, maybe, a week or whatever later, I had booked the commercial, which was filming before the Pacifier was. So I, as a kid, I was like, oh, it's like good practice for the big movies.
The Hollywood ones.
Yeah.
The blockbusters.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. I mean, hey, that's a good little streak, though. You start with a Pacifier, and just a week after you got a commercial, though. That's not a bad start.
Yeah. Hey, the rest is history.
I have a question about the Pacifier. You might not know because you're so young, but do you remember that it was supposed to film in a certain location and they moved it? Do you remember that at all? Because I have a story behind that.
I don't.
No, yeah, you were again. You were young, so you might not.
I do have a funny story to do with the Pacifier.
Okay.
So there's like a scene where, and it was in the original script, where the Girl Scouts fight the Boy Scouts for the like where they can sell the Girl Scout cookies or whatever. It was like outside of a Costco or Sam's Club or whatever it was, right? Like the turf, you're fighting for the turf. And so we had gotten like stunt work training as kids to like do out this whole like fight scene. So each, like, one of us Girl Scouts fought like one of the Boy Scouts, and it was like super epic, super awesome. Obviously, as a kid that like loved, anime growing up and fighting and just like being a badass and like, all that, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So we got trained, like I said, a week. And when we watched the final film, they had essentially taken the scene that we filmed and took the week preparing for, and they put it on the I'm pretty sure, so they cut the whole big scene of it out, and then all that the fighting came down to was when Vin Diesel sees the security footage while he's grocery shopping and he sees the Girl Scouts fighting the Boy Scouts. Yeah, that was gonna be a whole scene.
So, but instead he just thought that was it.
So of course my like kid spirit was just like broken. I was like,
you told everybody you knew about it, and it was like the only thing you talked about, and now is no, that sucks.
Yeah. So I would pay so much money if anybody has that original scene footage somewhere on a hard drive. Oh my god, but
that'd be so cool. There's a Degrassi connection between that. Do you know what that is?
Oh, Demetrius.
Yeah, he was in the Boy Scouts.
Yes,
yeah.
Demo. Oh my goodness.
You have a lot of, like, throughout your career, there's a few Degrassi and Life with Derek connections throughout other parts of like things you were doing, which we'll get into. Which is, as I was doing my research, I was like, there's a name I recognize. There's another one. It's like everything I mean, I guess being Canadian actor, worlds are gonna collide, but I was really surprised how much they collided.
Yeah.
But the story I was gonna say about the Pacifier, the reason I asked if they changed locations was the baby was, I'm pretty sure it must have been played by twins because most of them are. And my cousin, I have a small, like, younger cousins that are twins, and they were gonna play that part, but then apparently the movie got moved, so then changed location, so they weren't able to do it anymore.
Oh no.
That's why I asked if you knew about the location thing, just because like it's the biggest thing our family talks about. That's like the only thing that's cool about our family is that they were gonna play the baby.
Oh, I'm so sorry they didn't get to.
I know. Hey, they could have been actors by now. I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Whenever I think about that movie, it's the first thing I think of.
That's hilarious. No, I honestly, I once again, I was young, so it wasn't even like on my radar.
Oh,
It was
no,
just
not at
kind
all.
of what happened.
Do you know where it was filmed?
I know that it like parts of it were obviously in Toronto.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee for everything. I just know the like what I was in, what very little
Yeah.
scenes I was in was filmed in Toronto, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure, but or Toronto area. But
I know
yeah,
a
that's
lot of movies
crazy.
are filmed in Vancouver, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the rest of it was, but
Right, right.
no, that's my family's claim to fame is
Love
that
that.
they were almost in a movie. That's about it.
Small world,
Yeah,
small world, honestly.
I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although, yeah, it's still like that's so disappointing. They weren't. Damn.
I know. And yeah, it could have been good for them. And that was even cooler that you're in it then because it was before, well, not before, but it was just at the beginning of Fast and Furious. So like Vin Diesel then wasn't the Vin Diesel now. Of course, he had some like big ish movies, but like not the way he does now. And he was a
Right.
skinny guy in that movie. For a guy being supposed to be so muscular compared to now, it's crazy. I went and rewatched it today because I hadn't seen it in a while. It's like he looks like a totally different person. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. See, now I have to rewatch it because it's been years
Oh
since I've
yeah,
seen
like
that.
he's a shit brick house now compared to what he was in that movie.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a skinny guy. Again, he'd probably kick my ass, no problem, but he was a lot skinnier then.
It's so funny because, like, at the time, obviously, like, it was, first big thing that I booked. So I was obviously over the moon about it. But obviously, like, I had seen, what movie was it? Oh, like Triple X
Oh
or
yeah, okay.
yeah.
That's the only
And
other movie
so
I can think of with him in it before the Fast movies.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so as a kid, like, I guess that was just one of the movies. Like I said, I loved like fighting movies, action movies, anime, all that stuff. So I was like super hype. I was like, oh my goodness, like I get to meet Vin Diesel, and so yeah, I have like a bunch of. I actually back in the day when I was young, I would make scrapbooks for every film and like post photos,
Oh,
and it was something that it's a great memory to look back on now. But yeah, so I know I was super hyped to get some like photos with Vin Diesel, and he was really really great with all the kids too, like super nice.
nice.
Yeah, it made us all feel just like special and seen, which is good, especially when it's like your first big thing. So
Yeah. And then
yeah.
clearly that memory, something like that lasts when when someone's so nice to you as a kid, however
Oh
many
yeah.
years, almost 20 years later, I'm aging you, but almost 20 years later, you remember it still, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's sweet. Before we get into life with Derek, I just want to like go back to you as a kid. So you're talking about anime and stuff. Was that like besides acting, was like anime your like big passion?
Um, you know, yeah, like here's the thing, and I'm sorry, my best friend Justin. I gotta say shout out to Justin because the two of us growing up, we would watch anime and we would be those kids like running barefoot in the backyard, pretending that we were like Inuyasha and Naruto, and
Mhm.
literally doing like the ninja run, like those memes that you see. That was in
Oh, with
fact
your hands
me as
behind
a
your back.
yeah, yeah, the ninja run.
Did you do it
But
in
yeah,
school too? No way. Please?
of course.
No.
I was definitely like a tomboy growing up, and so I loved Bionicles, and we'd
Mhm.
be playing with that on the schoolyard, and yeah, playing pretend essentially. And I think
Mhm.
that's why acting was kind of like bringing that level of pretending to the next level, I
Yeah,
guess, and
no,
bringing
100%.
it into a job or a career. And even as a kid, like, I always liked entertaining. And so, yeah, pretending. I loved anime. I loved music as well. And obviously, I was a Nintendo kid through and through. Like, I love the GameCube games, Game Boys, all that, like N64s. Yeah, it was definitely very, very important in my childhood.
GameCube has to be the most underrated console. It is not
Right?
talked about enough.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And it has one of the
Wholeheartedly.
best intros of when you like the startup when it does the thing goes around like
Yep,
that.
and then you hold the Z, the little blue Z, and it goes, and it has like the monkey,
Yeah.
the Donkey Kong sound version. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It was that
Ah,
one and
yeah.
then my PlayStation 2 that like sometimes if the game wasn't about to work, it would stop on the thing and then it would be like, "Oh, no, it's not gonna work," and then it go zoom and then it would start to work. But
Oh
if
my
the game
gosh.
didn't work, it would just never keep going with the intro. That's something I just remember as a kid. Now
Love that.
that's something you never have to worry about with consoles or PC or anything now.
I know. Well, yeah, now I primarily game on PC, and I love it. I actually just played some Val last night,
Oh, nice.
Valorant for the first time in a while, and I was like, yes, I've missed this.
That's me with the OG Fortnite right now.
Yes. Oh yeah, they brought back the original map.
Yeah, but it was kind of silly though because they went from right to the beginning, but every few days they move ahead. They're moving ahead to try to get to the current time. So, but it's happening way too
Oh.
quick. So you're not getting a lot of time
Oh.
of like the actual OG stuff. So
Oh, that's disappointing. Yeah.
yeah.
I never really got into Fortnite. I played more Apex than I did Fortnite.
Okay. Yeah. See, I
Because
played
I
the most
liked
basic
the
ones.
yeah. Well, I liked the Titanfall games, and I really liked the movement in that, and I just the mecha aspect of it I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So then when Apex came out, I was like, all right, sick. And now I'm on the Val grind. So
Yeah. Were you ever into PUBG?
no, you know what? I
No?
did play it. I think, goodness, I feel like was that on mobile?
I think so.
It was
I
a
think
really
so.
scuff version, I feel like, if it was on
Yeah, I
mobile.
think you're right.
But I feel like if I did play it anywhere, it was on mobile, which
Yeah,
is
it was like
embarrassing to say.
people tried to say that like Fortnite was like the first like I can't even remember what the type of game.
Oh, like Battle Royale?
Yeah, but it was PUBG and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure and Apex or Apex was right after. It was they're all around the same, the three of them. I know that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know the history of them all, so
yeah,
I
no,
don't quote us on
yeah.
it.
I know briefly, not too much, because I'm basic. I play like NHL, MLB, and like Call of Duty and Fortnite. I play the most basic
Nice.
games.
That's cool. Hey, you know what? Games are games. That's why they exist. People
That's
like them.
true. Fair
Yeah.
enough. So get into one of my favorite. Actually, no, I guess it'd be my favorite Family Channel show because I always blend Family Channel and Disney Channel together because they show Disney Channel shows on Family Channel. So I would
Yeah.
say Life with Derek was easily my favorite Family Channel show. So you obviously played Lizzie MacDonald, like I said. Now, I'm assuming that audition process was like any other for you?
Yeah, like I remember I think they brought another actor in that was supposed to play Edwin, or like another, I don't know. It's always so hard to remember because like I actually remember the Pacifier audition more than I do Life with
Really?
Derek. Yeah. And it was only
Right.
because there was like a line, and it was something like oh, no guts, no glory, and it was like you were supposed to yell it, right? It was hence that fight scene thing, right?
Yeah.
And I remember because my mom, not that she's an actor or anything, but she would obviously like help me memorize my lines and really try to get me into the headspace of the characters that I'd be auditioning for. And she's like, if you're like going to do it, you just got to go all out. And I want to hear you yelling from like outside of the audition room. And so, I obviously yelled, and she's like, I heard you, good job. And then I booked that. But, and I think the reason I remember that is because it was like, one of the first big auditions, and something more memorable, I guess. Where Life with Eric, like I had been auditioning for I guess a little bit longer for more like big scale things outside of just commercials.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. Like I have a vague memory that they brought another character in who was supposed to play like Edwin, and I honestly have no idea if it was actually Danny Maggs or not. But I'm pretty sure, like, I have a very fond memory of me like grabbing, said Edwin by the shirt and like pulling him in and being like, ah, and like saying the line or something.
Yeah.
And so I often wonder if the simple confidence, like doing that, like yelling, like going all out, or grabbing somebody that's there, you know, kind of sets you apart from maybe the other actors. Like I don't know, but I have no idea what scene it was or really anything.
But I think you're right though. Like if it didn't call in the script for you to do that and you did it, and like no one else did, you're gonna stand out compared to anyone else that did the audition, right?
Yeah, and that's something that honestly, like even throughout, auditioning as an adult, I've always tried to really implement. And obviously, you can't, not always possible, but at the same time, you always try to make that memorable difference, I guess, or make something unique. And yeah.
Yeah. Now for Family Channel, like I maybe because you're only a year older than me, but like as a kid, I don't remember really many Family Channel shows that stood out to me, like specifically Family Channel. For you, do you ever remember watching Family Channel as a kid before you were on Life with Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember really liking Radio Free Roscoe. I'm pretty sure that was on Family
Yeah,
Channel.
yeah, you're right.
And obviously, like I was a Hillary Duff fan through and through. I just saw like a TikTok that came up on my feed, and it was like a throwback to the "Come Clean" song that Hillary
Yeah.
Duff released. And
Mhm.
bro, I posted on my story. I was like, this song still like tickles my brain every time I hear it. Like
She's my dream crush. I went to her
right?
concert when I was 8, me and my mom. Yeah.
Oh my
It was my
gosh.
it was my first concert. Yeah.
I love that. Avril Lavigne was my first concert, and she
Oh,
was
yeah?
also like I was a hardcore Avril Lavigne fan too, through and
Yeah.
through. But it's funny because I got so Morgan York, who was on the Pacifier, also filmed
Street
Cheaper
by
by the
Dozen?
Dozen,
Yeah.
and Hilary Duff was in that. And I guess there was like somehow while we were filming that, Hilary Duff was like in Toronto or something. And so she was like mentioning to me like on set, because I don't know, like us kids, we also stayed like a night in a hotel or something. So maybe we did film somewhere. Oh, interesting. Maybe we did film in like Hamilton or something, because I do remember. See, all the memories are coming back. But anyway, I digress. She was like, "Oh yeah, like if you like Hilary Duff, like I can get you like a signed album or something." And so,
I would
so
die
I,
if I had that now.
right? I was like, "Can I just like be packed in your like purse and then like pop out and be like, oh my god, hi!" Like
Yeah, yeah.
obviously not, but so there was like some connection that way that happened. And anyway,
You know what's crazy? This is all adding up because the movie came out in 2005, so you would have filmed 2004. And I said I saw her when I was 8, which was 2004 because I was born 96. So she was probably performing when she was in Toronto when you would have talked about her with Morgan.
oh my goodness,
That
that's
makes
so
so much
cool.
sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Damn,
I no,
it's
she's
all
like
coming together.
she's my dream crush. As a kid, I had like a fake wedding, and my friend was like the officiant for it, and I married her. Oh, she's my dream crush. I just listened to her on Josh Peck's podcast.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that's
no, that's
so
so funny that you
sweet.
love her too. She's the best, and she to me is one of the child actors that like the rare ones that didn't
Yes.
have things like happen to her, like Lindsay Lohan, who's like great now and great like how she's
Yep.
doing. Amanda Bynes not so much, but yeah, she was like the rare one that nothing like that ever happened.
Yeah.
At least not in the public
Honestly.
eye.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I was just thinking how, and obviously I don't actually know because I don't know the whole, just in my opinion, and looking back, it feels like Hilary Duff was one of the first like Disney stars that they really tried to create, even with like music. And, I remember seeing her music videos on like Family Channel or
Mhm.
Disney or whatever. Because I was trying to think of like who was like a big Disney star that was before Hilary Duff. Like I feel like she was like the first big
Yeah.
Disney star that did music, and that they really like experimented all of that kind of. And you've seen it in so many like Disney stars after that, and like Family Channel stars, even like Nickelodeon stars. I mean, Ariana Grande. Like there's so many like I don't want to say copies because that sounds, but you know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
no, it's
she
right.
was
You're
like
right
the
though.
OG. She
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
OG.
Yes, dude, that's so funny. It's the
Yeah.
things you figure out, eh? I'm learning so much just by only been on here 20 minutes with you, and look how much we've learned.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
weird, the
Yeah.
weird connections we were able to put together.
The pineal glands are
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah, exactly.
We're finding enlightenment. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
seriously. The one thing, so I had Danny on. Oh, he was the first episode. So this is about we would have filmed it about 2 months ago, maybe 2.5, and it came out about 2 months ago. What
Nice.
I wanted to ask him, and I totally forgot, was residuals for a Family Channel show. Are they non-existent?
No, like we do get residuals.
Yeah,
I don't know like exactly how the payout is, if it's like annually or what.
yeah,
Um but yeah, every now and then, like it's so funny because um I've done like so I also do cartoons, but I've done like voice work as well in like Silent Hill. I don't know how old I was. I actually have like zero memory, but I know that I've done it with multiple things where, you know, they either need just like extra voices in the background or whatever it is. And I'm pretty sure it was Silent Hill or something. You had to, like, I was screaming like burn the witch. And so they'll just have, and typically too, like if you're already going in for ADR, sometimes they'll just, oh, like, okay, we can, you know, utilize these people that are already kind of here and pay them for this. So I even get like residuals randomly for like Silent Hill. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like 50 cents. Cool. Like,
It's
it's
something.
the most
It shows,
random.
yeah, it shows you worked.
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
yeah. I would, yeah, because I totally, right after I got off and I was thinking, I was like, man, there's so many other things I could ask them. So it's nice to have you on, so because I can ask you about the same things. So,
yeah.
Life with Derek was, I think Danny said it's the longest running Family Channel show, I think is what he said. Which
Oh,
I wouldn't,
wow.
yeah, I think because it was 4 seasons, and then you guys did the movie.
Yeah.
Now with this movie, this is funny because we talked about this, and I just rewatched it a couple months ago because I hadn't seen Vacation with Derek in a long time.
I have to rewatch all these. Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
know. It's fun, and that's what this whole podcast is about. Is just having people that helped shape my childhood on and be able to talk to them. So this is really, talking to you right now is really cool. But the one thing I want to talk about with Vacation with Derek was that for us as viewers, there was a 1-year gap between the end of the show and the movie. In the Life with Derek world, there was no time difference at all. The show ended, the movie started. That's how it went.
Oh,
But for
really?
you guys, it
Oh.
was 2 years, Danny had told me.
Yeah. I don't even
So,
remember that.
yeah,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I thought rewatching it, it was so odd that they just try to go from end to start just like that, because you guys
Right.
all look way different. Besides Danny, you guys all have different hairstyles for one. And he had said something about your hairstyle, and he wasn't sure. He said not to quote him on. Were you wearing a wig?
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so no, but
Oh, okay.
originally, so because obviously my hair was like very different,
Yeah.
their original plan was actually, and we ended up filming like, you know, I want to say like maybe 3 scenes or so. They put me in a wig
Oh.
because they wanted it, you know, I obviously I still looked like Lizzie, but at the same time they wanted it to be like very recognizably this is Lizzie. And obviously like in the show I never dyed my hair. I only had just my natural brown hair. And so they put me in a brown wig, and I'm pretty sure it had like bangs and it was long. And anyway, not the most flattering wig in my opinion. But then, to my happy surprise, they ended up saying no. I don't know if it was the network, like I don't know if it was family or if it was just, you know, the production team or the higher ups that decide all of the magical
Yeah.
final decisions. They basically said no, we're gonna have to refilm the 3 scenes or whatever that we filmed, and just get your coverage and refilm those because we're not doing the wig anymore. So it was actually my hair, but I feel like why Danny thought that is because I was in fact originally planned to have a wig.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. So I think he mixed them up with that, and because he thought you were already doing Degrassi and had short hair, I think is
Right.
where he got the mix up from. But again, it was 14 years ago. So I mean, how much are you going to remember? I don't blame him. But that's
I
technically right. So
Yeah, that's why I'm like, hey, it's funny that he actually remembered like there was a wig, just
yeah.
not in the final product.
I just thought it was so funny how all of the kids had a different hairstyle besides Danny. He looked the exact same. There was no difference. It was
Oh
weird.
my god.
Like, yeah, it was like Michael had his hair like slicked back. I can't remember what the difference with Ashley was. Also, yours was colored, and then Ariel's I
I
can't
think
remember either. But like everyone
wasn't
was different
Ashley's
besides his.
shorter? Wasn't Ashley's like just
Yes,
slightly shorter maybe
yes.
or something?
It was it was significant difference for everybody besides Danny's.
Yeah. Well, it was
And
also wild because like I remember all of a sudden like, you know, I was like Ashley's height pretty much.
oh,
And
true.
you know, it's like, oh, like I've like, you know, I've grown.
Yeah,
Like
you did have a pretty big growth spurt between. I mean, again, it was 2 years, and like it was at an age for you where that would have happened. You would have
Yeah.
grown, right?
Yeah.
Now I talked about this Danny and how like what it was like for him, and if he was like ready, like to go back into it? Were you automatically, when you heard about the movie, you were in No Problem?
Goodness, I feel like I'm trying to think of like, yeah, because I had definitely still been filming and auditioning. I know that I was like either just about to enter high school. I think I was technically, was it grade 8? Just I know that when I booked Degrassi, it was like halfway through, or not even halfway through. It was like 3 months into my grade 9 year. And I'm pretty sure if Vacation with Derek was filmed in September, it was probably the fall before going into grade 9.
Yeah, Danny said it was September of 09 that you guys had filmed Vacation
Okay.
with Derek.
Time.
Well,
Crazy.
and it's even more confusing because I see it different than you guys. You guys see as when you filmed, I see it as when
Yeah.
it came out. So like I
Yeah.
think Vacation with Derek, I think summer of 2010. That's what pops in my head. But it's way
Right.
different for you guys, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, since you're a year older than me, I would have been in grade 8, you would have been grade 9.
Yes, and actually that the fact that you said summer of 2010, when we did the movie premiere, I had short hair at the time. If you look at those god awful red carpet photos. I hate red carpet photos, man. Like, oh my goodness. I have an event coming up in December and I'm just like, oh God, not like, oh no. But yeah, no, it's I had short hair then. So yeah, it would have been literally like just before booking Degrassi. And I didn't obviously have my hair cut yet at that point. And it was, and I remember like obviously like trying to like, be cool for grade 9. So I think that's why I had that hairstyle, was because it was, getting ready to officially be in high school.
Yeah, and you're like, and all the people didn't know you from different schools, and you're like, whoa, who's that girl with the colored hair?
Yeah. Not Lizzie no more.
Yeah,
and then obviously I filmed that and I'm like, oh no. And then hairstyle change again. It's like, all right.
So yeah, what Danny had told me was like he was just about to be in university. Like he'd already set up his dorm, and then he's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go film for a month. Like he was teetering, he told me, on if he was gonna do it or not. Because he just said he just set up his dorm, and then he goes, okay, I guess I gotta go film for a month. But for you, was it more so I'm in No Problem?
Yeah, no,
it was a while ago.
I've always been like, and this is very true to just my nature and my being in general, is I love spontaneity. I think that's why growing up, obviously wanting to continue in the industry, and I've always liked not necessarily knowing what I'm going to be doing a couple weeks from now or tomorrow. And so that, was exciting for me, and I love that kind of thing. So yeah, pack my bags, take me somewhere else.
Yeah, because you guys went to Muskoka.
Yeah, it was in Algonquin. And I forget the name of the resort that we were filming in, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely stunning. Obviously just a dream location. I love going up north to our family cottage, and yeah, it's a dream up there. So
it's too bad you guys had to act like it was summer in September. That's the only, I feel like, would be the downfall.
We there's like a movie trick, and so I hate the cold. I just naturally don't like
you
the
picked
cold.
the wrong country to stay in.
I know, man. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working.
Fair.
You know what? Costa Rica's looking real good.
Yeah, seriously.
Especially as it gets cold. But no, there's a film trick where, especially if you're seeing the breath, like obviously in the cold weather, your breath is hot, and so you see the steam. So they'll give you ice cubes to suck on while you're cold, which is great because you're already so cold, and then it's like, yay, I get
to be colder. Yeah.
But it's so your breath.
A specific scene, like after hearing that it was in September, and I see, and Ashley's in a bikini, I'm like, that must have sucked. Yeah,
bro.
No thanks.
No thank you. And like that's a very common thing, even just for like my own content now, where it's like, all right, well, it's temporary. We're going to go out. We're going to, look nice for these photos, or look nice for the video, whatever. We're going to film this. I just literally did a Halloween photo shoot with a good friend, Rachel, who's an incredible photographer, and a makeup artist, Shelby. They're great. Beautiful photos. Love them. It was like vampire in like corset with like beautiful long gown, freezing cold. But obviously I'm not trying to look like I'm cold in the photos. So I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
As long as I know it's temporary and there's like a heated car and a warm blanket
There you go.
somewhere that I can go
Exactly.
to.
Yeah, you'd be set. A temporary pain.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. This episode is brought to you by Sandpack Construction. I'm probably the least handiest person I know. And by probably, I mean I am the least handiest person I know. But that's where Sandpack Construction comes in. From construction management to framing to back framing to renovations, fencing and decking to custom builds, they literally do it all. They offer services through the GTA and surrounding areas. You can email them today at sampackconstruction@live.ca to book their services. Again, that is sampackconstruction@live.ca. So after Life with Derek, I mean, it was not far off. So you were talking about getting the role of Adam Torres in Degrassi, and back then it was just not too well known of either female to male transgenders, teens, just
Right.
let alone in person, or vice versa, male to female. So I'm sure you watched the show as a kid, correct? Being a kid that grew up. You didn't?
Oh,
No
so
way. You're like the
I
fourth person today that told me they never watched Degrassi. This is insane.
and here's the thing, like I definitely knew of it. It is a
Right.
huge Canadian TV show. Like it is very well known outside of Canada as well.
Yeah.
And obviously it had always been on my radar, but I was just too young, I feel like, to really get into the whole like teen drama and stuff. Plus, I really like the only family channel shows, or even like I watched a lot of anime. So I feel like it was just never my thing so
No,
much.
that's
And
fair.
even now, I'll be honest, like primarily what I watch, if it's not YouTube content, then it's I'm opening Crunchyroll and watching anime. So and that's just a reality and my personality. But obviously it was a huge honor to be part of such a well-known TV show. And yeah, like huge.
So that makes it more interesting then for you then. How did it come up on your radar there being a role available? And did you know right away when you read the role, you knew what the character was and who they were?
Okay, so typically like my agent will send me out for what roles I suit, or if she thinks that oh, like this is a great role for you, I think you should go out for this one. Obviously if I hear of it, but typically I'm not really scouring the web for local auditions nearby. That's
Yeah.
usually I leave that to my agent and her best judgment with that. So that was just presented to me as a role. And obviously, you audition 100 times to maybe book one. So it's literally audition after audition after audition. And I know with that one, because they were also trying to really protect the, I guess, copyright, with lack of, not even copyright, just obviously they don't want to give away too much of the storyline, especially such a unique and important character like Adam. So the role, and obviously it was also in the works too, so they were probably really working with the writers and everybody involved to really create the character. And so during the audition process, Adam was listed as a androgynous lesbian. So they really wanted it to be made known that, very like tomboy, hence the term androgynous. And then also they wanted to make sure that the actors auditioning would be comfortable in a, position potentially kissing another girl. And so that I remember going in with a toque, and I actually put my hair up in the toque because I had, the blonde hair at the time, which was, pretty girly, I thought. And another thing too with auditions is you really try to go in as the character. And sometimes that can be just like a blank slate without the hair colored, or plain clothing, stuff like that. So I remember going in with a toque. I tucked my hair back, put it in the toque, so it looked like I had short hair under the toque, I guess, or no hair, I don't know. And then just a really like baggy t-shirt and some loose fitting pants and it's not like I binded or anything like that for the audition, but definitely just trying to seem more tomboyish. And growing up as a tomboy, I was like, yeah, like and it's funny because as a kid, a lot of my like best friends growing up were boys, and so I wanted to be cool like them, and so I would actually put my hair up in a toque and be like,
Oh,
like one of the guys. So
no way.
yeah, but like very much so a girl, very
Yeah.
much so, she, her. But it's funny how as a kid you just think like, oh, like, I want to be like one of the guys and be cool, and like I'm just gonna put my hair up. So it was, little throwback to my childhood auditioning for Adam.
That's awesome though. I love that.
Yeah.
So when doing, I don't know how do I ask this. So when, like, for you, this probably was such a different character than anything you'd done before. Like I said, like this was, let's say you auditioned 2009. That's 14 years ago that
Yeah.
we were seeing a female to male transgender teen on TV. Like that was not a known thing. Like we never saw that before. And I mean, granted, Degrassi was really good at showing things like that teens were going through.
Yes.
And this they were really early with this one.
Yeah.
So for you getting this part and being Adam, how did you get into that mindset of I'm playing a girl who's a boy who wants to be a boy? And the other part of that question was, did you get pushback from anybody you knew, like close friends or family or anything like that? Because again, that wasn't a very well-known thing. Of course, there
Right.
were people experiencing it and going through it, but just not very well known.
So I
Yeah, that
don't.
was a lot. I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, let me structure this in my head.
I remember the first part I asked.
Yeah. So no, obviously, it is a huge honor to portray such a groundbreaking and important character, and especially at the time. I mean, Degrassi is always pushing boundaries, and it really is ahead of the times. And seriously, Linda Schuyler is such a incredible human, and if you haven't read her book, highly recommend, because even getting to know her more, she's a fellow Aquarius. And anyway, shout out Linda. And the whole team, really, the writers and the directors, we really it was a team effort. It was definitely not just on me to create the incredible character that Adam is. Huge honor, incredible character. At the time, it was a very unknown thing, even for myself. Like it wasn't something that I knew much about. And so I believe it was the movie Boys Don't Cry that I watched, which was really the only other movie that was kind of around at the time, at least that had made it mainstream, to have some form of I don't want to say reference necessarily, but I guess inspiration. And also, yeah, working together with the writers, the directors, really shaping the character. I know for myself, the research that I did, because Adam is just a guy, right? Like he's literally just one of the guys.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, a lot of my best friends growing up were all guys. And so I just was like, all right, I'm going to just start watching what they do, how they act, how they sit, because little things like, they never really sit cross-legged, and, the way they walk or the way their mannerisms are very different, typically, and at least with my guy friends. So thank you to all my guy friends that were a beautiful example of just being a guy. And so, even trying to just like lower your voice and just sound, like there was many little things that just kind of fell into place. And it was, honestly, it was a lot of fun. Like I truly fell in love with the character. Adam is, incredible. And we do have some things in common too, because obviously he likes music, he likes comics. And so, yeah, it was really just discovering him and, falling in love with who he was. And then as far as like pushback, not really. I did get, obviously being in high school, and so they actually cut my hair short. And so it was not a popular thing for girls to have short hair at the time. Trendsetter.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You
yeah,
started it.
it was really not that popular. And so I definitely got some, I don't even want to, bullying, but just rude remarks or, whatever. And if anything, it just helped me relate maybe a little bit more to Adam and feeling, and obviously if it were up to me, I'd have, long hair. So feeling a little bit out of my own skin, I guess. And most characters that I've played in the past, you could kind of escape them by, once you're not on camera and you're at home in your own environment, especially with Lizzie, perfect example, I was very much so myself outside of filming.
Right.
Whereas with Adam, because of the short hair and also they, would try to, I couldn't have long nails. I couldn't necessarily pluck my eyebrows. It was, I couldn't tan, there was things outside of the character that affected me in my real life. So, I'd say that was like the biggest challenge is, being in high school and then you're also like filming, a very different character than yourself. And it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Right.
But as a tomboy, honestly, it just really solidified that I love girly things, but I'm pretty tomboy through and through.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like you mentioned that you had to kind of look like Adam the whole time. So like at least between seasons, were you able to do like a little more of your own things that kind of look like yourself?
Oh yeah. I mean, I
Like, did you
started
color your
buying.
hair differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bleached it one season, which
Oh.
they were like, okay, we're gonna have to dye this back now somehow.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, but like, leave your girl alone. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and
Right.
I definitely I had fun with wigs and I was definitely overcompensating my feminine attributes outside of filming. So I would put, a lot of makeup on and, good old push-up bras and really try to accentuate those feminine qualities outside of filming. Because obviously, some things I couldn't necessarily do, like the nails or whatever. But
Right. Huh, I never thought about that. So you were in 136 episodes, which it's a lot. It's a lot of
wow.
episodes. Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
don't know if you knew that or forgot, but yeah, 136.
Wow.
So, when I first, I mean, not just me, when the viewers and everybody, fans first I got a first look at Adam was the Shark in the Water promo, which
Yeah.
to this day is the best promo Degrassi's ever done. There was so much they told everybody without saying a single word because it was just a music video.
Yeah.
Weird thing. So obviously we see Adam in like the funhouse mirrors, seeing himself as what was it, Grace?
Yeah, Gracie. Great. I'm
Gracie.
pretty sure it's Gracie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gracie. But then it would show Adam as well. So that
Yeah.
everyone probably was like, what's going on here? So yeah, like I said, there was so much shown in that music
Mm.
video promo. So that was the first look at Adam. So did you get a lot of like once the episode started airing and we learned more about Adam and who he was previously, did you get like any message from fans that are maybe going through the same thing?
Oh, the messages that I've received have been, any little issue that or any little struggle that I had while filming really were so worth it because of the messages that I've received. Um, and even to this day, I feel like with a lot of my fan base, just really, really incredible stories that they have been, so open to share. And that's why it's still, to this day, such an honor to have portrayed such a important and groundbreaking character. I mean, Adam was such a voice for so many people, whether it's bullying, whether it's even just your own sexuality. And, maybe it was during the filming of that I myself found, okay, I'm going to actually identify as bisexual. And so, he really was a strong and empowering voice for many. And some of the stories have like, I mean, it doesn't take much for me to cry, but I have definitely cried at several stories I've heard from fans for sure.
Right. I mean, and just Adam the character, he was just literally the nicest guy.
Oh yeah.
He was
Adam was so cool.
Yeah, like there was never like, of course, like there was instances where like he wasn't, but at the same time, like it was warranted. But like no, like yeah, he was just like the nicest character on TV. So when he got in a car accident from texting and driving, it was huge with the fans, including myself. Like it was a huge shock. So how did you find out that Adam was going to be killed?
Yeah, so essentially, like any, work I've done on TV series, uh, usually it's a contract, right? So, they had a 4-year contract for Adam, or for me, but
Yeah,
for Adam.
yeah.
And so once that contract was essentially coming up, it's kind of the decision of, okay, do you want to resign and stay longer? Which at that point, obviously I was ready to move on in the sense of, I had gone through most of my high school experience portraying Adam. And so I was ready to, take on other roles and, grow my hair out or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So they had been wanting to tell the texting and driving story for quite some time.
Mm.
But obviously, in order for it to actually like have an impact on the viewers, the way it's a very impactful thing in real life and very sudden, and it is a shock. They wanted it to be a lead character. They didn't want it to be like a side character that fans don't really even, they're not attached to. And so they had approached me saying, okay, like how do you feel about this being, how we end Adam's run on the show? And I mean, if there's a way to go out, it's with a bang. Obviously, it was also, I think, psychologically a little bit of peace of mind for myself, in the sense that that was the end of that character. And I like in the read through, like I said, I do cry a lot, but I was bawling in the read through of that script.
Mhm.
And none of the other castmates knew until we were in the read through. So
Oh.
I had known, but nobody. Yeah. So it definitely came as a shock. But I think that they approached it very gracefully, and it definitely made an impact on viewers. And also, it was kind of the hard decision of, if Adam had, like, ultimately, he was going to be starting testosterone, or that was the idea, right? That he was wanting to really go through with a lot more. And these are things that ultimately, as an actress, I can only do so much. And so that was another thing, too, that, I think it really gave grace to Adam's story. And, the last thing we would want to do is make a mockery of something. And so, especially when you start to get into, things like that, it can be really hard to portray that. I mean, at one point, I remember them even talking about, like, do we want to start, like, if he's starting to take this, like, do you need to gain weight? Like, what are the, like, there was a lot of talk amongst kind of what was happening with that too. So I think it ultimately happened for a reason, in
Okay.
my opinion, and looking back now. But still, yes, like, rest in peace, Adam, because what a phenomenal character.
Seriously, and it was a really good run. It was those 3 seasons, and like he taught so much of being transgender, because
Yeah.
again, like we said a couple times, that wasn't too well known of a thing. So it's like, wow, like this is what they go through on a daily. Like it's insane. Now, did you experience any like outrage isn't the right word, but I remember there just being a lot of like upset people when Adam was killed. So did you hear about any of that?
Yeah, like, obviously, like anything, I remember hearing so many, like, rumors online that, like, "Oh, it's because Jordan Todosey is pregnant," and, "Oh, it's because," like, there was a lot of rumors, and, you know, people are gonna talk. Obviously, understandably, like any, you know, any character that you fall in love with, and then all of a sudden either the show is over, or they're no longer on the show, or like they have an accident like Adam did or something. You're left missing this person that you love that never actually existed, which is a really weird kind of dynamic. And that's what happens when I fall in love with any anime character, and then the season's over or the show's over, and I'm like, no, we need another season.
You just rewatch it 400 times. Yeah.
But yeah, so I totally get it. Like, as somebody that falls in love with characters who also fell in love with Adam, I totally get it, and I think it's a very warranted reaction, is to be like, what the like,
no, seriously.
Yeah. So no, I totally get that, and I think if anything, it means more in the sense of like Adam was so loved, like
seriously. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't get the response if it was a character nobody liked.
Exactly. If it's a villain, then it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. So clearly you did something right.
Yeah.
Right? The way you brought Adam to the TV screen is
thank you.
It was phenomenal. It really was. And like, even me back then, so it was 2010, I would have been in grade 8, grade 9. Like, I didn't know anything about just transgenders in general, like what that really was. So like, being able to learn about that at such a young age, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, again, like, you did such a good job at portraying like someone that was going through that. So yeah, no, it was really cool from someone that watched Life with Derek and then saw you transition into Degrassi. Like, it was really cool. It showed the maturity level of change and for you as an actress, for me. So
thank you. And I definitely want to give credit to the directors and the writers, because honestly, like, I did what best I could, but I know it was a huge team effort to create Adam. So yeah.
I love that. Was it I know you didn't watch Degrassi beforehand, but was it still cool, like, say, like being on the set of the school, and then like I can't remember, the Dot, was that what the restaurant was called? Yeah, like the Dot, like cuz all of that fake? That entire street, is that all fake, right?
Oh yeah, like the whole,
even the school?
It's crazy. Yeah. So it's I'm pretty sure that now it's like, not, they're obviously not using it now, which is crazy to think about, but at least don't fact check me, I don't know, but no, last I heard, but yeah, no, the whole thing, like, it's wild. Even the iconic scene where Adam burns the photo of him as Gracie, and some of his, like, the symbolic burning of the girl clothes, and just that letting go of his dead name, and that iconic scene was filmed in the backwoods, which is still on the like the location, the property, I guess. And so there was a bunch of other, like, some of the camping scenes were in those woods, and the iconic hookup scene with Adam and Imogen in the car, that was like in the backwoods, and like, oh my goodness, yeah, it's like crazy. The more I'm like thinking about all these things, I'm like, yeah, like the backwoods was fun. And no,
there's a lot that went on. Yeah,
it's all just like this big, like, we joked about it on set all the time. Like, if ever there was a zombie apocalypse, we would all just go to the set of Degrassi, because they had like fence borders around the whole perimeter, obviously. And like, it was just, there's everything there. Like, we could have a whole little commune, and just
you just post up in the school alone and you'd be good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. So yeah, no, it was super cool, like, seeing that, and how much they like would change things around to make it look like a totally different place. And
that's insane.
So cool. I mean, magic of movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, it's what the camera can do. I do a few more things before I let you go. You've been very nice with being on here this long with me.
Oh yeah, we're having fun.
I think so. I'm glad you do too.
Letting us have this much fun.
So I heard about a movie that was coming out last September. I heard about a movie called Life with Luca. Of course,
Yeah.
it was a spinoff of Life with Derek. I remember being so fired up because I'm like, this is my favorite Family Channel show. Everyone's gonna be back. I was so excited. I watched the trailer. There's no Lizzie. There's no Edwin. There's no Marty. At this point, I hadn't spoken to Danny yet, so I had no idea what was going on. So
Yeah.
for you guys, hearing about it, his story was so sad. He heard about it while he was in therapy. He told me on the episode on the podcast. So right when he heard, he was able to stop talking about his ex-girlfriend. He said, and start talking about this with his therapist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for
Worked out
you,
well, eh?
when you found out about this coming up and that there would be no Lizzie, initial thoughts?
I mean, initial thoughts is kind of just like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
What about Lizzie? Don't tell me they recast her. What is going on? No. And then, so I actually found out through fans. I think the biggest thing is like, it would have just been nice to had known. It would have been nice to had been invited to the screening or anything, or even just like, oh my God, like come for a day on set, say hi to everybody. It's a family reunion. I understand like obviously why, logically why it made sense. They're really trying to spin this into like for a new series. So it makes sense that they're really trying to introduce the new kids. And ultimately it is like, the show is called Life with Derek. It's, we were the younger kids who obviously, yes, with the younger, the middle children or the younger kids who were watching, maybe they related with Lizzie and Edwin or even Marty a little bit more. But, ultimately the show was primarily based around Derek and Casey specifically. So it made sense from, a business standpoint as to why. I think it's fun that Danny and I got to do a little TikTok together. And
Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. Also, for one, you're too nice because I still don't think it's fair. I watched that movie just to figure out why you guys weren't in it, and they never even gave an answer. So no, that's BS. I hated it.
No, honestly, I have yet to watch it, so I do apologize.
Okay.
I haven't even watched it yet. My
I'm
bad.
sure you knew that they'd never. I'm sure Danny had told you that they never even mentioned you three.
No, I
'Cause he
didn't know
streamed it.
that.
He streamed him watching it.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. See,
Yeah.
so I actually released my 2 first music videos the same day because so I saw it once again. I'm a very like, as I've grown older, I am a little bit more business orientated now, mindset wise, and still a degenerate through and through, but and so no, honestly, I saw it as, oh, well, if they're releasing a new movie, this is a great opportunity and, potentially the best time to release my music. Because obviously if people are like, wait a minute, they watch the movie and they're like, wait, the other kids. And then they,
Where's Jordy? And then they search her up and boom.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and plus, I thought it was kind of, yes, for publicity, the whole drama behind it is what does well. I'll be honest. So, of course, making TikToks about it and saying, if you want to know what Lizzie's up to and like all of that. And, obviously trying to capitalize off of it as much as I can. And so no hard feelings in the sense of, I get it. I really do. Like the industry has always been this way. I grew up in it. It makes sense. Life in general isn't fair. Like, that whole, what is it? Like life's tough, get a helmet.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, no, I totally get that. And handouts aren't free. I think for me, the biggest thing, yes, Danny and I talked about it. We wanted to give the fans something. Plus, obviously, it's publicity for us. But at the same time, like I was kind of like, why? Like I would have loved to like been in the know or like invite me for a day on set or like the screening. But no, it is what it is.
You don't have to admit the same thing if you don't feel the same way. But what Danny had said was he just had wished that someone had told him. He didn't have to find out the way he found out. And it sounds like the same with you. Like if someone could have given you guys a heads up in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were gonna find out regardless. Like it's not like it was gonna, like, I don't know. Anyway, and it is what it is. Like, honestly, it had been also so long that, um, like, I get it. It would be kind of hard to really write in like Lizzie and Edwin and then Marty as well. And then it's like, what, do they only choose one of us? And that would be even more odd in my own opinion, like to only have, like, it makes sense that the parents are in it because they're their grandparents, I get it. And yeah, like it is what it is. I was so happy that we were able to get Ariel on the TikTok, bro.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, this I said to Danny, from the closet to the sound effects to having Ariel in it, everything about that TikTok was perfect. I love that so much. He said that like he called you and stuff, and like you were either planning on making a trip out there, or like you made that trip around that, and then you guys went and were sightseeing and stuff. So like, no, everything about that TikTok is perfect. So for those who don't know, you guys not recreated, but you guys brought Edwin and Lizzie back for a scene talking about Derek, Casey, Nora, and I'm drawing a blank. What was the dad's name?
Who? Sorry?
The dad.
Oh, George.
So yeah, about them having a family reunion without you guys.
Yeah.
Which was perfect. So can you talk about like how you guys decided on that?
Yeah. So I remember like we had just done a because Danny also streams, so we were both in the streamer world, and he invited me to do like a Dungeons and Dragons virtual. It was super fun. Anyway, so we had like just kind of done that, and then we were just like talking. We have each other on Discord and whatnot, and so he like calls me up one day, and we're just sitting there talking, and so he drops the news, and I'm like, yeah, like I saw some fans posting about it and stuff, like, and I remember even like being like, man, like, I hope that they get a season out of this. Like, I'd love to, get a quick little payday in there, but
yeah, no, hey, fair.
And Lizzie comes for a cameo, but anyway, so yeah, we were just like joking about it, and then I remember Daniel saying like, oh, like, yeah, this is so like the characters, like even the fact that we're talking about this, like we should be in the games closet right now. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like what the heck? And he's like, well, honestly, like I would like, it would be so great if you could just like fly out here. Or he like, I think he was joking when he was saying something like, yeah, like, just hop on a plane and we'll film a TikTok. And I literally like pulled up my phone. I was like, okay, like let me just like check my schedule. And I was like, yeah, like I can't this weekend, but like next weekend, if I'm just looking at flights now. And he's like, wait, what? And like once again, I love spontaneity like this. So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And I was actually my first time in Vancouver. I'd been wanting to go for like so long. I'd never made the trip out there. So this was like a perfect excuse to go see beautiful Vancouver. Spent some time with Danny, which was awesome. He was ever so kind to let me crash at his place, which was so sweet because obviously that's why I'm like, yeah, like if I have a place to stay, hell yeah, that's great. So yeah, no, it was a super fun time. He also like showed me around and did a bunch of like awesome sightseeing. I met some of his friends there, and no, it was a super super awesome trip. And within like the first few hours of posting it, we had like so many people like just talking about it and comments, and yeah, everybody was, I think the fans really enjoyed seeing Edwin and Lizzie. And I think we did it eloquently. We didn't want it to seem at least in my mind, the biggest thing was, I didn't want it to seem rude, but there's always that little bit of cheekiness that you gotta have, because that's what gets the traction. But ultimately, there was never any hard feelings or anything like that. So
it was so good. And I just checked, as of right now, it has 3 million views. And I also see, but the funny thing is it's also reposted on like multiple different channels and different TikToks and stuff. So it's way past that. But how the hell did Danny get Ariel in it? Because as far as I know, I've done a ton of research. I can't find her anywhere online. So how are you guys managed to get her?
So Ariel and I have stayed in very soft contact. And so I reached out to her because when Danny and I were talking about this, And when we had really like solidified that this was a thing we were doing, I was like, okay, I'm gonna send Ariel a message. And so I messaged her privately because obviously I didn't, I like to respect people's privacy, and especially if they're not in the industry anymore. And some people just don't necessarily want to be back in, especially with social media nowadays. I totally get it. I totally do. So I really didn't know if that would be something that she was down for. And she was like, oh, absolutely. I was like, yes. So
cool.
I joined, like, I just made a little group chat with the three of us, Danny, Ariel, and I, and we got her to do a couple different takes, saying a couple different lines that we had, mock written up at the time. And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And so I don't even remember what we use now, but
you guys
basically
having a party or something?
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah, because we knew that like that was gonna be the end of the TikTok, like what people would be left seeing. So we're like, that's why I think we like played around with a few different lines and like what she would say. And that one is the one that we ended up choosing. And
it was genius. It was genius because you guys had the perfect dynamic between Lizzie and Edwin, and then you're like, oh, that was pretty funny. And then all of a sudden you think it's the end, and then you see Marty.
Right? It's and which is so like true to the show, because the amount of times that she'd be like, I want to be in the closet too. Like, oh yeah.
You guys would leave her out, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
So actually the last thing on Life with Luca, Life with Derek. So the show is they are creating a Life with Luca show. If they called you tomorrow and said, do you want to come back as Lizzie? Are you doing it?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like,
Okay.
I'll be
For
honest.
the right price is what we should be saying.
No, not even that. No, honestly, I think the biggest thing is I would just want to see the script. Like I'd be very curious as to what Lizzie would be doing and what she'd be up to. But obviously, if it was, appropriate or not appropriate. What am I trying to say? Like, I just would like to, if I'm gonna go back and do Lizzie, I would hope that it's done to justice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would hope that it's, something fun, not anything big. I wouldn't expect anything big, even if it's just like a one-line thing. But point being, I would definitely ask to see a script ahead of time. But yes, essentially in a heartbeat, that would be fun.
Fair. Yeah, Danny said the same thing. Essentially. So the last thing I got for you is OnlyFans. So you joined OnlyFans of July of 2020. It was your first post. I was doing some research. So what went into the decision to start an OnlyFans with you?
Honestly, like for me, it's about content freedom and content control. So that was kind of a way to do that, especially with being, the feeling of being typecast as this, very tomboy and, playing Adam, obviously that feminine side, especially for a while. It was, I was seen as Adam. And so for me, it was a little bit of my own self-expression that I really wanted to experiment with. But also content freedom is huge. And I know, like, Instagram, TikTok, love them. I am Instagram girly through and through. TikTok is great. Love it. But there's many things that in my mind are, not appropriately trying to think of the best way to word this. Here's what I'm just gonna say. I'll post a video of me longboarding in a t-shirt and it will get taken down for adult nudity or something. And it's like, and I understand, obviously you have enough people that, I get it if the algorithm or, what is it, the AI that will sense certain things or something. But it can be very frustrating as a, creator or creative person, feeling like, oh my goodness, like I even tried to post some of the footage from the Hard Money music video on TikTok. And I very specifically chose the parts of it that I thought were, very okay for TikTok, and got taken down. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, it was also kind of the rebelling against that you know, forced content, and having a little bit more control. Plus, honestly, like, I have loved getting to know people through the messaging on OnlyFans. It's a great way to connect, and obviously you have some spicy chats, but I've also had like a lot of really good deep conversations. Some other musicians that are on there that we've had some creative talks, and it's honestly just a great platform to really connect with an audience. Also have the freedom to create the content you want. Self-expression is huge for me. Feminine energy, woman empowerment, all that. So I've loved it, and that's why I've kept doing it. Yeah, I mean, if there's any girls out there, I'm an open book. So if ever somebody wants to know the ins and outs of it, I always, open my DMs to that. And I've also gotten some girls on through referral links and whatnot. So yeah, I'm an open book with that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know you just kind of talked about it and everything like that, but before I let you go, if there's anything you want to plug, the floor is all yours.
My music is definitely the biggest thing right now that I am pursuing. I have produced and directed the 2 music videos that are out right now, Hard Money and Warning. My artist name is Oddity, which is actually my Instagram URL. I chose to make a alias under music, as other creatives have done. But honestly, as an independent artist, every stream, every like watch time, adding it to playlists and really trying to share it, making TikToks with the sound, making Instagram reels with the sound, like all of that is, huge. And it really does support us independent artists. So anything like that is huge. I hugely appreciate it. So go check out the songs. More to come. Full EP on the way. I'm very, very excited for it.
Let's go.
Can't wait. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Jordy, thank you so much for coming on here. Let me ask you all my silly questions. I appreciate it immensely. From the kid that was able to watch Lizzie as I was a kid, and then as I got older, Adam as well. This was really cool. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. We'll talk soon.
Yes.
And that was the Quinn Marr Show.